Right now, it's time to round up another big story from the week. Illegal immigrants living in fear after a report that the Trump administration is considering using the National Guard for immigration roundups. The Associated Press uncovered the memo on Friday that suggested the plan. It suggested mobilizing up to 100,000 National Guard troops across 11 states to work as immigration officers. The White House denies that it is or even was being considered. So is the president even allowed to mobilize the National Guard for an illegal immigrant roundup? That's our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. I'll be reading some in just a few minutes. Joining us live in our studio is our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico. We have former Harris County Democratic Party Chair Jerry Bernberg and Republican strategist and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. All right, so let's talk about the legalities of using the National Guard to round up illegal immigrants.
Well, the president doesn't per se have the authority just to mobilize the National Guard. It typically goes through the state. The governors of each state is the person with the authority to mobilize the National Guard. Jerry Bernberg, under the Posse Comitatus Law, 1868. I believe you're the constitutional law professor here, so.
Well, first of all, essentially you're correct, which is what makes this 100,000 guardsmen story so silly. Actually, what the deal is, the president can mobilize the National Guard. In fact, he has, and he federalized troops. We've got a lot of National Guards folks overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan right now. But here's the deal. Those folks under the Posse Comitatus Law cannot arrest within the territorial limits of the United States. The only way they can be used to arrest or detain is if the states activate them, and the governor can do so, but then the state has to pay the bill, not the Fed.
And when it's happened, like Texas and Arizona and California, the governors agreed with George Bush back when he did it, and Obama when he did it, to activate those, and they agreed to do it, but they didn't have arrest power.
And we have had instances where the National Guard has helped with Border Patrol, but not as widespread as what this memo was indicating. And just for the purpose of not spreading fake news, the press secretary and the president have both denied that they actually are going to do this. So this is something that was raised through, leaked through a memo by someone in the media, but both the press secretary and the president said no. There were lots of provisions that were being proposed. This was not one that was taken seriously.
There was a memo in the White House that was one of the proposals, apparently, that was going through the process.
Actually in DHS, but you know, here's an irony about it. This 100,000 is more than the total number of National Guards troops that we have in all 11 of those states. Texas only has 19,000. The public went crazy when Abbott put 1,000 of them at state expense on the border.
So let's talk about the uptick in immigration arrest around the country. President said, "I'm going to be tough on illegal immigrants," and you've seen an uptick in enforcement action across the country.
Yeah, as it should be, because these people are coming into the country illegally. And Americans want to make sure that we deter that. We want to make sure our borders are secure. The president ran on that in his campaign, and he's actually fulfilling one of his first priorities, one of his main campaign promises. Majority of Americans want to see that happen. These people are illegal.
There's protests all over the country about it, but the president is doing what he said he was going to do.
Well, except that not so much. He's actually deporting fewer people than Barack Obama did during the same period of time. What you're seeing is heightened press coverage of what's going on, but in terms of raw numbers, that's no more than typically has been happening.
Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
All right, let's take a look at our Twitter right now and pull up a few tweets for you. The first one coming here saying, "I feel like this is illegal," referring to this this plan involving the National Guard, or it should be National Guard in our streets, he asks. And then Val's Mama says, "And thus begins martial law, our National Guard acting like stormtroopers. All Americans should be very scared and concerned right now." And then on the flip side of this, you have people who are saying, you know, what part of illegal immigrant is hard for you to understand? Do you support criminals over our own country?
Well, I don't get that last. I don't know where to go with that last tweet, but the interesting that what you just said, though, about the his enforcement action. And he's acknowledged now, at first they were saying this is just normal, but he's acknowledged in his tweets and his statement yesterday that he is enforcing and he wants to enforce. But you're saying that this is fewer than what the Obama administration was doing.
Just in the raw numbers, yes, that's correct. There's more attention on it. There's considerably more people being afraid about what he's doing. But so far, and by the way, his net is picking up a broader bunch of folks who should not be picked up.
So far
his total numbers,
and so far his 3 weeks of presidency. So we don't really have real numbers to compare to his predecessor.
That's true.
The fact that he did run on this campaign promise, that's why we're seeing a lot of the hype. To go back to the last tweet, and you said you didn't understand, it's something that I've been saying on this show forever. If these people are coming in here illegally, why are we so concerned, or why are we having a problem holding them accountable for breaking our laws?
Well, nobody's having, no, that's not what I meant.
Well, that's what the tweet meant. Okay. That's what the tweet meant.
Actually, I can answer that question. You have to prioritize your enforcement efforts. By the way, about half of the people who are here illegally came here legally. These are not people that cross the border illegally. There are people that entered with student visas and other kinds of visas and overstayed their visas.
Does that mean they shouldn't? Does that mean the government shouldn't enforce the law and get rid of it?
No. It means that the government should enforce it. Let's do exactly what President Obama was doing, and that is prioritizing on the dangerous criminals. Get the dangerous criminals out of the country first. Because remember, Obama sought 20,000 new Border Patrol agents.
Conservatives are very concerned about securing our border first, keeping these people out, and I think the fact that that's why we talk about the discussion about the wall, that's why we talk about the discussion about the vetting system. You have CIA and ICE agents who say we don't have a proper vetting system, and that's why we're tackling that first.
All right, we got to leave it right there. We'll be back in the next hour with 2 really good topics.
All right, we look forward to seeing you guys then.